back in the woods.
Okay, we've got 2 dead deer here, and I've got an agreement with the Jackson County Sheriff's Department that if they get a fresh road hit deer that's not dead, I'll come out and kill it. If they've got one that's fresh dead, still warm, I'll come pick it up. Well, I got 2 last night at the same spot that were both roadkill. One of them's pretty messed up in the face. This one's not too bad. I'll spare you the gore of the other one that got his head tore off by the front end of a truck. I'm going to use these deer for a couple things. Number one, I'm going to put meat in the freezer. That didn't cost me anything. Didn't even cost me an arrow or a bullet. Just cost me some gas. Number two, I'm going to use one of these deer to help train Bacardi, to get her used to being around dead animals, see if she'll drag a dead animal, get her to drag it down by camp. And then when I get deer like this, most of the time what I want is, you know, I don't know how many bones are busted up in these deer. I usually don't even gut them. I will cut the skin off the areas that I want. I'll take the haunches, I'll take the back straps, I'll take the sinew and things like that, and I'll leave the rest of the coyotes. Or I'll leave the rest of the buzzards, whatever the case may be. I may use some of the meat for a buried bait for some of my traps, grind it up and use it for a bait for some of my traps buried. But I wanted to show you guys these. I have special tags. I don't have to tag these through ODNR or anything else. I get tags from the Sheriff's Department that they give me when I pick these deer up. So they basically don't go anything against my hunting license. They don't go against my tag for the year. They don't cost me anything but gas to go get these deer. You can make that arrangement pretty easy with your local Sheriff's Department if you've got a way to transport dead deer. Okay, this is a little male here. The best thing you can do with this thing is leave the skin on it. It really is. To protect it if you're trying to save the meat. Okay, that's a big chunk of meat right there. Now we'll harvest this tail. We'll use that for a coyote attractant. This other leg's broken right here. So that could present a problem. We'll find out here in just a second. Now you can see there's some guts in here coming out right here where the anus is, and I don't want that part of it. I'm going to get right beside that and split that off. And just take the haunch itself. These deer haven't built up enough fat reserves yet to have much tallow on them. There's that bone right there. I just snapped that bone off at the joint. And there's another good piece of meat. Now you can see there's some massive trauma right there where that deer got hit. Look at that. That deer got hammered and bled hard right there. That's probably where that deer got hit, was right there in the front end. Okay. Now, what we're looking for are these pieces that run along the back side, along the backbone. I'll show those to you here real quick. They're really clear and they're white. They're right here, and right here. That's backstrap sinew. And that's what we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut into that, just like that. Okay, you can see it coming off right there. Now we've got a hold of it there. This is all sinew as well right here. These pieces are all sinew. I'm going to cut that out of there. Now we'll have to clean the meat off of this. You've got the sinew on the back side, that shiny silver is the sinew, and then you've got the meat on the front side. So you've got to clean that off. And you've got a little more you can harvest out of here as well. There's some more right there. There's a good clean piece of sinew right there. Okay. That's what the back sinew looks like, and it runs across over the shoulder blades and back to the rump back here. And that's the part you want to harvest. And this back strap right here is some pretty good meat. Now this dude's cut up pretty bad, but this back strap right here is like a choice cut of meat along this backbone. This piece right here, that is one choice piece of meat right there. Get all the sinew off of that, clean that up and cook that up. Oh man, that's some good eating right there. We're going to save that. Okay, best way to handle this sinew is really with a fillet or a boning knife. And you handle it just like you would a fish fillet. If you want to try to keep that whole piece intact, it's okay. I'm just going to cut it in half to make it easier. You can see how tough that is to cut. And what you're going to do with this is you're going to lay that out, get you a piece of it, just kind of pinch it with your thumb and go through there just like that and get down as far as you can to the white, because that's really the part you want, is the white. And you can scrape any little pieces of meat that you have on it afterwards. You can scrape them off. You can see I'm losing a little bit, so I can come back and get that again. But this stuff right here is what we don't want on there. Okay, this is the part we do want. Okay. Now, we can scrape the rest of this off, just like this. Cut any of the meat that's left on there, we can cut that off. We'll just cut that piece off. It's got some meat attached to it. We'll cut it off. Okay. Now, this is a fairly small deer. I got a little ripple in the stump right here. This is a fairly small deer. This isn't a big deer by any means. A bigger deer is going to have more sinew on it than this. And I didn't get the whole piece. This was basically just for demonstration purposes. These are deer that would have laid on the side of the road and rotted or been eaten by the buzzards. Now once we've got that pretty well clean, all we need to do with that is lay that out to dry. It'll dry like rawhide, just like this once we get all the meat cleaned off of it. It'll dry like rawhide, hard, and then we can reconstitute it with water, and we can split it into finer threads at that point if we want to. But this stuff will do everything from sewing up your gear, to sewing moccasins, to making sutures if need be. That piece is about probably 9 inches long, maybe 10, something like that. So that's a good little piece of sinew out of that small deer. And then we can take this stuff here that we cut off of that, use that for buried bait for coyote or whatever the case may be. State law in Ohio requires that you bury any meat baits. So we can shove that down into a dirt hole set so you can get a whiff of that rotten meat, but it's still buried. And then we've got another piece of sinew to process here as well. Guys, I'm Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School. I hope you enjoyed joining me for this short video today. Like I said, you know, these 2 deer were roadkills. They would have just laid there and got eaten by the buzzards or ran over and over again by trucks and cars and things like that. I went and picked these up. You can do the same thing. I didn't get a lot of meat off of the one deer because it was busted up pretty bad, but I got 2 good hindquarters off of it, and it'll be pretty safe hanging right here by a hook as long as it doesn't get above 50 degrees and it stays pretty cloudy. This meat will be fine. The best thing you can do to preserve this stuff is leave it in the skin like this, and the bottom will just dry out and crust over and glaze over when it gets dry, and that meat will be good for days. And then I can come over here and cook it at my leisure. We did cut the one back strap out of the one. I'll probably cook it up later as well in a cast iron cooking video. We'll make some kind of a deer stew or something like that. I appreciate you joining me for this video. I appreciate everything you do for me, for my family, for my school. I'll be back with another video as soon as I can.